Joining us now is a Republican member of the Investigative Committee, the Assemblywoman Holly Schepisi. We welcome you back to the program. The information we're getting right now, first of all, were you happy to see Bridget Kelly showing up in court? Did it matter to you on any level?
It didn't matter. Her being there, I expected her to go. It's her life right now, so I kind of did expect her to be there.
The word from the attorney for the committee that there's more documents out there. What do we know? What can you tell us? How many more? Are they very incriminating documents?
You mean with respect to whatever documents that Bridget and Bill Stepien may have?
They still have, yeah.
Nobody knows. I mean, with respect to, we've received thousands of pages of documents thus far. We've received them from Wildstein, from Baroni, from the governor's office. So we have thousands of documents that have come in. With respect to what, if any, additional documents exist with Bridget, with Bill, we have no idea.
So when he says there's more out there, do you know what he's talking about?
It's somewhat speculative. I think everybody believes that there may be additional documents and additional emails, but as to whether or not they're pertinent to our investigation or not, we don't know.
Are you content with the way the investigation from the committee standpoint is going? There's been all sorts of consternation about the political makeup. Do you feel any more comfortable about it than a few weeks back? I remember having you on the program, and there was a degree of unhappiness over the numbers involved.
Well, it went beyond the numbers. There were grave concerns about the leaks that were occurring, about the fact that documents were going to the press prior to the members of the committee having them, and just for the integrity of the process, how the process was operating.
Did you guys go behind closed doors and say, this has got to stop, and suddenly it stopped, or?
We did have some discussions and some letters back and forth, just saying that for everybody involved, and particularly with the magnitude of what we're investigating and the powers given to the committee, it's imperative that we are viewed as beyond reproach ourselves.
You wouldn't want to tell me who you think might have been leaking them, would you?
I have no idea.
The nature of this investigation, though, when we hear, not only the traffic study that was or wasn't, the bridge lane closings that certainly were, the emergency tapes that have come out since then, the backups in Fort Lee, now we hear stories about manipulations, alleged manipulations in those toll hikes, which for any of us who live and use that bridge, or any of the bridges for that matter, but the idea of toll hikes being manipulated certainly seems to bother virtually everyone. What did you think when you heard that?
Well, I think where we're at with everything and what has been put forth, what we have reviewed thus far, we know what has happened to a certain degree. We may never know why some of these things had occurred. By way of example, with the court, we may not know until April as to how the court is going to rule. There may be appeals taken from that. And so we could find ourselves a year from now still having this discussion.
A year from now. It could go that long.
It could. And that's why it's so important that we recently dropped legislation last week to deal head-on with reforms and necessary reforms for these agencies.
But in order for those to happen, you have to have agreement, unanimous agreement. New York and New Jersey, as I understand it, have to agree on what kind of reforms and explicitly how they're going to be conducted.
With respect to certain of the items, yes, but there are other things that we can work on right now. And we sent a letter to the Speaker, and it's something. It's not Republicans, it's not Democrats. Some of these ideas have already been proffered. Some of these things we've already looked at. Some of them are new ideas, but we're at a place right now where we all know that we have to stop these type of things from occurring in the future. And so the legislation that we're proposing, it's really imperative that we start working together. And there is no pride of authorship in what we've put forth, but we need our Democratic counterparts to work with us to do it.
Can you get your Republican governor to sign it?
I believe, I have not had any conversations with the governor about any of this, but I can't imagine that he wouldn't.
Are you comfortable with the subpoena powers as they exist right now? Would you like to see this court just lower the boom on Ms. Kelly and on Mr. Stepien and say testify or else?
You know what?
Or submit documents or else?
As an attorney, as well as a member of this committee, I really believe in our Constitution, and I think it's important that the judge rule on this, and not lowering the boom, but whatever legally the court believes is the proper thing to occur, whether or not it's our committee, compelling this, or whether or not, and we now know there are separate criminal investigations that are taking place. That was conceded in court today. So maybe that's the appropriate arena for some of these things to be reviewed.
As you said, this could be with us for a long time. Assemblywoman, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.